Recording in progress.
Eric's here. All right. Welcome, Eric. So lovely to see you. Welcome, Anne. In person, we have, sorry, one more time, my friend Seon, Dawn, lending us this lovely art space for our sit today. We just listened to I Want a Little Sugar in My Bowl by Nina Simone. And that is kind of the energy I'm coming to this sit today with, is feeling grateful for the sugar in my bowl right now. I feel like there's a little sweetness in maybe at the bottom of a particularly tricky dish, but still a very sweet, once I get into it. And that's kind of the I don't know, energy I'm inviting into this space, whether you'd like to join me in that or just let it melt around you. But welcome to Ma Harriet practice. It's the 15th. We are 1 week away from the equinox, so we're just approaching that little balance point. And today, you know, I'm really this whole week, really, in my practice personally and with others, I've been, I think, looking for and trying to cultivate that sense of how am I arriving to kind of the most balanced day of one of the most balanced days of the year, right? Thinking of the equinox, the days exactly as long as the night, we're shifting from this big period of summer and spring and moving in to the kind of fall and winter of it all. And often when there's a chance for a pause, equinoxes are usually, or could be in, like, at least in Japanese Buddhism, times of like pause between harvests, right? You have a chance to sit. And often when we are allowed the chance to sit, there's so much going on inside of us, right? It can be hard to actually settle into that rest period to get the rejuvenation we deserve and we need, and to like taste the sugar in our bowl, to be able to really identify it, in the kind of daily meal of life's struggle and joy and grief. How can I like savor the individual flavors arising in my day? It's kind of just what I'm thinking about right now. We haven't really gotten to do a little ramble in a while before our session, and today I am taking your generous time and participation in some thoughts pre-session, as we used to classically, form this on. But thinking of Ma Harriet practice and specifically, you know, what am I arriving to do right now? Why am I here? I'm asking myself that question and floating it out to whoever wants to take it. What brings me to my seat? Right? And it doesn't have to be one thing, it doesn't even have to be specific, it can be a feeling. But just to, before we do anything structured or formal, perhaps we take a couple deep breaths in and out. And just notice your body, how you're feeling in your seat. Perhaps you notice the weight of your clothes against you, the temperature of the air around you, the feeling of your seat beneath you rising up to hold you. Even beneath whatever you're seated on or laying on, walking on, the earth below, ever present, holding us. And as we just begin to settle into this space being born right now, without quite knowing what it is, even, we might acknowledge that our needs, like everything else, are fluid, changing, and shifting. With that acknowledgement, perhaps we might lift any pressure or expectation on what this moment is, or needs to be, or should be, what it should feel like. Perhaps instead we open the door to meeting ourselves fully. As we move through our practices today, chanting, sitting, praying, singing, the invitation is to, one invitation is to sing for yourself today, as well as, all beings. It can be easy to do either or, self care or all beings care, right? Like my communal work or my me work. But today, maybe we shatter just a little bit of that, pull that thread. Thinking of Ma Harriet, I was having this dream, maybe Wednesday or Tuesday, of I had done like a really deep Ma Harriet practice before bed, and then I had this dream of being in community with like a black elder woman who kind of looked like my aunties, but wasn't like any specific family member of mine, just vaguely looked like all my family members. And she was really loving, beautiful, boisterous, funny, loud, but honestly, really difficult to be in the room with. Like we were having really, really nitpicky conflict and like generational divide, and she was really set in her ways and getting older where she'd been the matriarch and the caregiver for so long, and she was having a hard time starting to accept care from those younger than her, right? Those older than her are not there anymore, and that's a hard shift for her. And I just got to thinking about Ma Harriet, great liberators, great truth tellers, people who are so boldly sure of who they are and rooted in love in a sense that like goes beyond needing people to like them. Love in a like, I'm gonna do what's right for you way. And that's a hard presence to receive sometimes. And I think it's hard to receive because in part of the ways we get stuck in kind of shame and our own judgment, right? Like sometimes hearing the truth feels like an indictment. Like, oh, you're telling me what I need. And is that a failure that I didn't know it until you said it? Like sometimes it feels hard to like look in the mirror and really see myself fully and just take it in, right? Not idealize, not be aspirational, but take a moment to just be with all of who I am. This system, a body. I was talking about this with Anne, like of wonderful substances and of waste, of processes of dying, of like systems that of pushing out, right? There's all of it in my system. So today, thank you for going on this little ramble with me, but all of those are an invitation to just bring it all today. Whatever you have, outside of my words, this is just what I have. And more than teach you a lesson, if anything, I'm just being myself in hopes that you might be yourself too. So this is who I am today. This is what I'm bringing. And perhaps we might model that for ourselves, bringing ourselves. You know? to this space. And so in that space, we'll move into our beginning mantra, which I'll put in the chat, of Om Ma Harriet Soha. Om, the seed syllable, Ma Harriet, Ma for mother, and then Harriet Tubman, and Soha, like Svaha, if you say that in another language, or Soaka, if you're in Japanese. But either way, so be it, right? May it be so right now. And also like a hail out. You're casting this invocation out into the 10 directions. You're recognizing that my body is not just this little form, right? I can birth a sound that travels farther. And in like just that little leap that, oh, I'm teasing myself out of this dualistic, form into recognizing my spaciousness. Perhaps we can expand as far as we can today. Just letting our call, this mantra, which we kind of sing, be our invocation, not just to invite Ma Harriet into the space, but to invite all of our ancestors, to invite ourselves, to invite our vitality into this space, to invite our grief, our dying parts, and our rebirthing parts into this kind of unified frequency, right? They all kind of have the gift of having both a shared chanting experience and different chanting experiences because we're on Zoom, right? Even me and Seon will hear each other. Y'all will hear us and you, right? We're all creating these little synergetic balls of yearning for liberation, right? Let's crack open so that we might find what's in there today. Okay, so I'll go through the first, I'll do it 4 times in a row, and then feel free to, for anybody, join in when you feel like it. Feel free to just listen, whatever feels good for you. I'm just going to light some incense. I'm gonna ring the bell a few times today since I have the gift of Seon-san's tools. Om Ma Harriet Soha. Om Ma Harriet Soha. Om Ma Harriet Soha. Om Ma Harriet Soha. Om Ma Harriet Take a deep breath in and out. Feel the vibrations of your voice lingering, filling up the space you're in, filling up your body. You might place a hand to the chest, or just find somewhere to find some connection with your own self. As you take a few breaths in and out, we might imagine in this warmth, wherever we feel ourselves, Ma Harriet starts to arise. As in, fierce love and compassion starts to gently unfold within us, perhaps within our heart space even. Often when we work with protector deities, they're associated with colors and elements, things like that. And with Ma Harriet, we've really been working with moonlight and water, with deep rivers, deep Oshun, Yamaya rivers, and that really mystical, illuminating element of moonlight. Right? It shows you the night that you need to see. It chooses what the setting is, in a sense that, really when we're walking outside in the dark, we work with the moon. That's in tandem, part of our vision, our way of navigating the world, right? Even the absence of the moon, a new moon night, we get the stars, right? The moon's still there. The light's still there. It was sunlight anyways, right? The moon's not actually shining. It's just, our little sun mirror, our little reminder that we never really were alone, even in the night. And so, we might take a moment, again, rooting in the body, the breath. Perhaps letting the eyes close or finding a gaze that feels soft, relaxed, open. Open as in and out. And we might imagine ourselves at the bank of a river, the water gently streaming by. The moon right now is inching towards full. We have kind of a 3/4 situation up in the sky in real life, and if you'd like to use that moon, it can arise in your sky as well. And we take a moment sitting here with the sound of the water, the gentle rolling of the wind on our skin, moving across our forearms, our cheeks. Perhaps we can hear the leaves gently dancing. And the moonlight shines from the sky, gently bathing over us completely. Whatever feels good to you today can feel like warm bath water, Perhaps if you're in need of some invigoration, it can feel like a cold waterfall, right? Or it could just be a lukewarm lake, a nice middle ground. Whatever you need, whatever your medicine water is today, call it forth in the form of moonlight. Let it penetrate the skin, illuminating into the muscles, the tendons, shining a light on your aches, your pains, your points of unexpected ease. We'll move into our spiritual offering today of we shall not be moved. I forgot to copy and paste, so you guys had to, hear my little tip taps today. Thank you, Eric, for that beautiful comment. But we'll sing these words together. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Sorry, I did it. As we, perhaps rest in this river visualization or just come into our own bodies, we might notice nearby a tree planted by the very edge of that bank of the water. Take a second to explore it. What does your tree look like? Is it one of those trees that's grasping out of the side, growing sideways and then up? Is it deeply rooted? Does it feel like the river arrived much later than this tree and is making its way around it? Just take a second to notice how this tree's roots sink into the earth. Perhaps in the same way that this tree is grounding into the earth, we imagine our lower half sinking down into the earth, our legs stretching out, becoming roots, and expanding down as well. And as we sing this spiritual together, we offer out to our ancestors, to Ma Harriet, to those who have come before, our remembrance that this is who we are. This is how deep down and old and ancient our systems are. Me taking a breath is not just some benign act, right? It's like photosynthesis. It's that kind of miracle, that my lungs can turn this oxygen into food for my blood and body. That is what we're doing. Doesn't have to be any more or less than that. This breath. Everything in the universe, gently unfolding. And our call in this class, right? Are we ready to receive that? Are we ready to get free? Do we believe we deserve it? Can we feel our roots drinking from the water of the earth? As in, can we pull from this ancestral well of steadfastness, of assured liberation, of light, playing with the dark, a moonlit night. And so we just let ourselves be carried with the tune. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. Just a hum. Internally. a deep breath in and out. Letting whatever arises in this moment arise. Letting whatever is ready to fall away, fall away. Whether we are feeling filled up with that rootedness, whether we are drawing on the rootedness of those around us, we let this experience take place. There does not need to be a me in this strength. It can be communally cultivated and arisen, and that is mine to bathe in, right? When I say me, I mean you. And when I say you, I mean us, right? None of us and all of us, in that way that the moon touches each part of the earth. Regardless of where I see the moon. With that kind of expansiveness, we move into our communal prayers, which I will put in the chat. Taking up a position that feels like offering to you, whether that's palms together in gasho, hands out, or just, internally gesturing. We might recite these together. May all beings be free. May those suffering experience liberation. May we hold each other through revolution. May we abolish everything that is not love. May we rebirth a free world. Svaha. Ashe. May it be so. Take a moment just to breathe, acknowledging the power of speaking your prayers out loud, of saying them to yourself. In this space of praying for everyone, I invite us to take a moment, as always. This is becoming an every session occurrence, no matter the session, to speak your medicine to yourself. Right? Close your eyes, do what you need to just take a moment to listen, and then internally, whatever voice feels good for you today, ask for what you need in this moment. And just as important as asking, I dare you, Ma Harriet dares you, all of our ancestors dare us to believe you deserve to receive that. That it is already something that you have within you to remember, within those around you to access. So we take a moment here, perhaps returning to our river, perhaps returning to our roots in this bank next to our little tree, big tree. I don't know how your tree looks. Don't let me say how your tree looks. But just return to the moonlight. Return to your breath, to the water. And today, as we dissolve our meditative visualization, we might imagine this whole imaginary space dissolving back into the moonlight. It takes a moment to wash over us, to fill us up, and then it almost flows out of us, flows out of our tree roots, flows back into the river, and just washes away towards the ocean, where all rivers lead. We let this experience return to emptiness. And as a lingering gift from the ancestors, who can be, a little less strict sometimes than the Buddhas, a little sugar in our bowl. Imagine taking a bite of a really tiny fresh strawberry or raspberry or, something really sweet. Let it wash over your tongue. That kind of fleeting sweetness, may that be all we need as inspiration to seek true liberation and ease for all. Sometimes that's all we get, just a whiff of incense, a really good day with our friends. Our kid saying something unexpectedly mind-blowing or so seeing into who we are. A pet just really asking for a pet when you need one. Any of those experiences. May that be all we need. May we not need, though we have abundant suffering to draw from, may we not wait for a song we listened to a couple weeks ago. One of the lyrics is, why do we wait for pain to change us? We don't have to wait for it, right? Pain is there. It's a human part of this life. We have plenty of struggle to recognize and work with and transmute and conjure and dream with. But we don't have to wait for it to feel like that's the breaking point. Right? I can break myself open with love. I can break myself open with, the grief of, it always has to happen at some point, right? Me tearing up in this session, because there's no end to what we can draw from. And that is the well that I drink from. One that's full of all of you, right? One that recognizes the rivers in us, the 70% water. I'll never stop saying it. Because it's a miracle how much of us is easy to recognize as part of the earth, part of these systems, right? But it feels so far away, it feels so hard. These clear symbols that we have within us. So may we be able to tap into that as well as the struggle. Equal to, if not, even more spaciously around. That's kind of my ending note as I see the incense burning down to its last little stub. I'll take the earth's cue. And we'll just take a moment to dedicate this practice any insights, liberation, merit gained, ease felt, or grief connected to, we dedicate it to all beings. May all beings be free. May we be abundantly comprised of the causes and conditions for liberation. And may we shed in an ecstatic dance the causes and conditions for suffering. May we boldly leap out of trying to solve samsara and dive into a new system, right? As in every second's new. May it be so. Thank you all for your practice. I'm going to end the recording.